Hi, welcome back. In today's video, we are going to talk about how CloudWatch Alarm can work together with EC2 Auto Scaling to allow you to automatically respond to changes. So I've done a separate video covering all the concept of CloudWatch. Okay, basically it's just a monitoring tool. So performance and monitoring tool allow you to monitor, collect, analyze, and respond to data, okay, from your AWS resources. Okay, so I always think about it as an alarm or what we call CCTV setup in your household if you have it. So this CCTV can constantly monitor your compound or your property. Okay, pick up anything that is anomaly or any changes that will happen to collect it, and then when you come, you can analyze your CCTV video or data, and then you can respond to it. Okay, that is how I look at CloudWatch. But in this case, we are leveraging these services within our AWS account to monitor our resource. So in this video in particular, we are going to concentrate how we are going to leverage when the alarm or the condition is met, the alarm is triggered, how we are going to respond, you know, with auto scaling. By that, we are going to provision EC2 instance and then leverage on auto scaling for us to respond either to add more instances or reduce the instances depending on the trigger or what alarm has been triggered. Okay, so what we will do, the steps is first of all we will launch what we call a launch template. This is just a configuration, it's a blueprint of creating multiple EC2 instance. We are going to leverage on that and create auto scaling. Remember, the auto scaling is just a collection of instances that we can add or remove at any point in time, so we can scale or shrink at any point in time. We will create auto scaling policy. CloudWatch will be monitoring our auto scaling policy. When the auto scaling policy is met, okay, the alarm will be triggered, okay, and we will be leveraging on the alarm on that. So, right, we will see the scaling and then scale out in a live demonstration. So let me quickly go to my console and then let's get started. Okay, so going back to my AWS console, what we will do is let's go to, okay, not here, so EC2, or you can search it here. Okay, let me see if I can find, yeah, EC2. And what we need is first of all create a launch template. So this is the blueprint for our auto scaling. Okay, that's the first one we're going to create. So we will say, okay, this region is fine. You pick your region, okay, and then all you need to do is to create a launch template. Right, you just give it a name. Okay, let's call it, let's say, done tech, okay, template or something like that. Done. Okay, right, the version, leave it the way it is, so it will automatically version it for you. Okay, template version 1, depending on the update that you do on your template. Okay, so let's leave it the way it is. I have a separate video where I went through auto scaling and then the launch template. Okay, because we are going to leverage on auto scaling, let's collect or ask for guidance for us to provision this as quick as possible. Right, the OS and the application, let's go for quick start, and then what we need to do, let's pick Ubuntu for our OS operating system, and then, right, that is fine. What we need to do, instant type, let's pick something small. Okay, so let's say T2 micro should be fine for our test. We're happy with that. So going to um we are not going to create a key pair. All we need to do is to say don't. Okay, we will leave that. Okay, we will leave that the way it is. And then the network, we leave the way everything is again. Okay, to subnet 2, you can leave the way it is now. We will create it later. The storage, we leave the way everything is, and we go to what we call the advanced setting. In the advanced setting, what I want you to do is to select our instant profile. Okay, I am instant profile. So again, this is to do with session manager, so we can connect to this without SSHing with our SSH keys. We're going to leverage on um, SSM to connect to this. So this is it. Again, I have a separate video on how to configure um, instant profile role to connect to an EC2 instance without managing SSH keys. Okay, we move on this. Okay, so leave the way everything is on here. Leave everything the way it is. Okay, capacity reservation. Let's leave everything the way it is. Everything the way it is. And then what we need to do is to create our launch template. Okay, we can view it. Okay, see what it is. So this is the versions that we have. We only have version 1. Like I said, the auto version is for you. Okay, our launch template is created. Again, if I show you, so this is what we've done. We create our launch template. We're gonna create auto scaling out of the launch template. Okay, so let's go to our auto scaling. Auto scaling is under EC2. If you scroll down on the left hand side, you will see auto scaling group. Okay, we select our auto scaling group, and what we need to do is to create auto scaling group. Let's give it a name. Okay, let's call it simply done tech or something. Yeah, just give it a name. And then can you see it's asking for the launch template, so we select the one we just created. See, these are the configuration. We leave the way things is. So this is the blueprint to create your auto scaling. We will leave the way it is for now, and what we need to do is to go next. Okay, VPC. So if you have your own VPC you want to use, you can use it, but this one we are leveraging on the default VPC. Availability zones. Okay, we can spread this for redundancy purposes. Let's select the 3 availability zones across the subnet. Right, for availability zone distribution. So let's go for best effort. Okay, so we leave the way it is. So if you want to pick any of this option, okay, you can, but let's go for best effort. So we will pick it depending on what is best for us. And then the additional capacity, we will leave the way it is as a default. Okay, and then we go next. Right, again, let's see what we have here. We are not adding load balancer. I'll create a separate video regarding load balancer and auto scaling, but let's ignore this for now. Let's ignore the VPC lattice for now. Let's ignore the application recovery, and then the health check. Let's go all the way to the bottom. Let's reduce this grace period to like 60, so things will be much faster and quicker for us. Okay, we'll go next on this one. And this is the desired state, the scaling, the sizing, and the scaling. What is your desired state? How many instances do you want it to run at every point in time? That is what you desire. Okay, let's leave it to 1. And what is your minimum? What is the minimum you want to run at any point in time? Let's leave that to 1 as well. And our maximum, let's put 2 or something. Yeah, you can put 3 or 4, but let's put 2. What next is the automatic scaling option. Okay, we will going to create our auto scaling policy ourselves, so let's leave this. Other than that, you can pick tracking, but let's leave it, and then we can create our policy, so I can walk you through what the policy looks like. Okay, for the instant maintenance, okay, again, let's leverage on the no policy. What it's going to do is just going to do what we call a mixed behavior. So for balancing event, new instance will be launched before terminating others. So we will create a new instance for you, and then we'll terminate another, the old one. Okay, so again, prioritize availability is similar to that. So this one, the control cost, again, it will terminate it and then launch it. You don't want that. Okay, let's go for that, the misbehavior. And then, so instant scale in protection, let's leave the way this is. If you select that, that means the instance, the last instance, will be protected. It will not be scaled in. It will not be also decommissioned or something like that. It will not be terminated. It will be protected. Okay, one instance will be protected. Let's leave the way these ones are, the warming up. Okay, we can leave the way they are. The auto scaling group deletion policy, okay, protection, we will leave it to a none. Okay, and then the placement group, again, leave the way it is. Okay, all we're interested is just to create this auto scaling. Go next, go next, and then what we will do is to create the auto scaling. Okay, let the auto scaling status be green, and then we are good. We'll have a look. But whilst it's doing that, I think we can take a look. So in the details, you have your desired state, your scaling limit. So we said minimum of 1 and the maximum of 2, and then your desire is 1. Okay, we have your various configuration, your subnet, and so on. The integration, we are not integrating it to any load balancers or VPC lattice. The scaling policy, we're going to create a scaling. Let's refresh this and see. Okay, that is done now. What we are going to do now is to create a scaling policy. Okay, so here, auto scaling, and then you create your scaling policy. So this one, let's go for simple scaling. We have various policy that we can create: target tracking, step scaling, but let's leverage on what we call the simple scaling, and let's call the scale in. Sorry, let's scale out first, and then we can scale in. It doesn't matter which one we create first, but let's go for scale. So scale out. Yeah, that will do. Scale out means add instance. You are growing, you are scaling out. Okay, getting bigger. Okay, so CloudWatch, we don't have any CloudWatch created now. We will create it later on, and you will see automatically be added to the policy. All right, so as you can see, because we are scaling out, let's add. So you are increasing, you are scaling out. So add 1 instance. Okay, add 1 instance. Okay, let's add the waiting time to be 60 seconds for now, so it will be quicker for us. Okay, so let's create this. Right, so that is the scale out policy created. We're creating 2. So one is when we are adding, and then the other one is when we are shrinking. So let's do the shrinking or decreasing. Okay, so again, simple scaling. Let's call this scale in. Okay, and then we don't have CloudWatch. All we are doing is we are removing, okay, 1 instance. When you scale out and you want to decrease, you want to decrease 1 at a time. Okay, 1 at a time. You can do 2 or 3, but let's stick to that. And then we go 60 for the weight. Okay, so seconds before allowing another scaling activities to happen. That's what it means. We go next or create. Okay, and we got 2 policy created, but you cannot see any execution policy here or in a CloudWatch being enabled on here. Once you create a CloudWatch, okay, we will see it here. So let's go to CloudWatch and then create our CloudWatch alarm. Okay, so CloudWatch. Let's open this in a new tab here. Open new tab here. Okay, right. So what we will do, here we are creating the alarm. Okay, again, if you go back to the step, we've done the scaling policy. We're going to create a CloudWatch alarm. Okay, so go back to the CloudWatch, and then you look for alarm. And then what we need to do is to create an alarm. We're going to create this alarm, metric alarm, because we're going to test the CPU utilization. Okay, so we're going to push the CPU limit to the limit, and then see how auto scaling will act. So we'll go for select metrics. Okay, and it's EC2. Remember, auto scaling, working with EC2, we collect or we pick the auto scaling group. We know our auto scaling group. What did we call it? You can go back and check. Let's find the name, the one we just created. Where is that auto scaling name? What's the name? Simply done tech. Okay, so we will find that. What is it called? Simply done tech. Right, in the simply done tech auto scaling, we are looking for CPU utilization. Yeah, so we select that. Okay, and then what we need to do is scroll to the top bit. So we've done the browsing and picking what CPU we are going to measure for the auto scaling. All we need to do is go for the option and then make some changes to this. So here, let's go for the gauge. Okay, and then just select the bottom. If you hide it, you will not see the CPU here. So can you see bottom, and then we have it here. For the range for the gate, we start from 0. Watch this bit. Okay, and then we add 100. Okay, again you can see from 0 to 100. Now this is the state. Now this is the CPU utilization as we speak now. Okay, so that is it for now. So what we can do, if you want to add more threshold, you can, but we can stick to this for now, or you can create your own little dashboard for it. Okay, so let's go next. Okay, and then what we need to do is to go for, so this is the namespace because we are working with EC2. So this is the namespace for EC2. Metric name is CPU utilization, and then this is our auto scaling group. So we can do average or we can do maximum, but for now let's stick to the average. It's fine. So by default, CloudWatch will collect metrics for you for every 5 minutes by default. Okay, if you want it to collect metrics in 1 minute, for this one you have to pay for it. So let's stick to the default. Okay, and then here the condition. So if it is greater or equal to, let's pick that one. Okay, or greater than, let's pick greater than or equal to 50% of the CPU utilization. Then what we are going to do, okay, let's look at the additional configuration. So the data point, right, you see we got 5 minutes here. So for every 5 minutes, okay, CloudWatch is going to check the data point and see whether the CPU has gone up more than 50%. Every 5 minutes, it will do that. If it found that it's gone up 50% and over for only one time, then it will trigger the alarm. Okay, so this is how it's going to check. If I put this to 2, it means CloudWatch is going to check it, 10 minutes. So 5 minutes it will check, okay, and see, oh, CPU utilization is gone up or down. If it's up, it will trigger. It will do again and check in the next 5 minutes. So literally it will check this in 10 minutes. So 2 times 5 is 10. So a period, so 10 minutes it will check it. Okay, and if it is found at any point in time one of the check is more than 50%, it will trigger the alarm. Okay, so we can leave this the way it is. Okay, or if you want a quicker one, it doesn't matter, both of them will be the same. It will going to check it once. Okay, let's put this to 1. Okay, so the missing data treatment, let's leave the way it is by default, and then we go next on this. And then so for the alarm, we are not going to send any notification, so we can remove that. All we are interested is for auto scaling action to kick in. So alarm will be triggered, auto scaling will kick in. In your house, your CCTV camera will capture an incident, and then what are you going to do about the incident? So you go there and do something. Okay, so that is the action. For this case, we're going to allow auto scaling to do what? Auto scaling to select the policy. This is the auto scaling group. We select that, and what are we going to take? What action? So the first one we say the, remember the scale out, we select that. Okay, we can add another one again to say that the same auto scaling, select that, and then another action again as in scale in. Okay, so we got scale out and scale in policy depending on the policy that we created. Remember to add and remove. So what we need to do is to go next on this. Okay, give the alarm a name. Okay, let's go, what's that, simply done an alarm. Let's do something like that. Okay, and then we go next, and then what we need to do is to create, right, the alarm. The alarm is done. So for now it's saying it's sufficient. Give it 5 minutes or so and it will be sufficient. What we can do is we can check, our instances or auto scaling. If you go to auto scaling group, okay, and then you come to your auto scaling, you will see your instance management. We got one instance. This is an EC2 instance. Okay, so again, if you go to the top here, instances, you will see, let's refresh this, you will see an instance running. Okay, let me just filter this as running. So we can just see only the running instance. Just filter that. Right. What I want to do is to connect to this and stimulate CPU utilization. How do I do that? So I just asked ChatGPT, how do I stimulate CPU utilization? And it gave me like a tool that to install, and then it's called Stress NG. You can use that as well. Okay, you can ask ChatGPT, but in a nutshell, this is it. I'm going to install that tool called Stress NG, and then just install that. Okay, so let's go back and then connect to the instance by using SSM. So select the instance and go to SSM, scroll down and then connect. Okay. So once it's done, let me make this bigger so you can see. Okay. Once it's done, it's Ubuntu. I'm going to install the Stress NG. Okay. So if you are running on what we called Linux, Amazon Linux 2023, you need to use this command. Okay. So let's go back to, have I even copied that one? Let's go install. Actually, let's do this one. So update, okay, first, and then we're going to install. So go back and then let's do update. Update the system. While it's updating, let's go and grab the next command. So sudo apt sudo apt install stress ng. Okay, um, come back here. So that is done. Let me clear the screen so we can see more. Type clear or control L should do. So I'll paste this here, and then I'm going to install the stress ng. Stress ng. Right. Okay. So I think it's done now. Let me clear again. Okay. And then what I need to do is go on the next command, which is right. So let me check. We can check the number of vCPU you can, or just straight away go to this command, which is embedded with the number of CPU you want to check, and then we're going to stress it for 10 minutes. Okay, we're going to stress it for 10 minutes. That's why I say timeout for 10 minutes. So the stress tool is going to stress the CPU utilization for 10 minutes, and it will time out. Right, let's grab that. So go back here and then paste the command there. Let's see how it's going to go. Right, again, so is the path is trying to look for the temp file. So what we will do is let's cd into the temp file. No, actually, let me cd into poster. What is that? What is the temp file? Cd into term. That's better. So that's the term, not that term. Okay. So what we need to do is to copy that again and then paste the command there. Enter. Right. So the stress is happening. So we can leave this for 10 minutes and then we will have a look at the CloudWatch. So for now, if you go to the instance, let's check the instance. We had one instance running. Okay. So hopefully auto scaling will trigger. Okay. Go back to, let me show you let me go back to the auto scaling actually. So auto scaling, refresh that, and let me see you. Auto scaling, let me see. So auto scaling policy. Okay, yeah. So this is what I mean. the auto scaling or the CloudWatch, okay, alarm will also be populated here. Okay, once you create a CloudWatch alarm, it will be populated here. This is what we have. So this is the policy that CloudWatch is going to breach or, you know, respond. Once the response is happening, okay, auto scaling will either scale in or scale out based on what has been triggered. Okay, if the CPU utilization is more than 50% at any point in time, okay, for 300 seconds, then guess what, we will have scaling in. And then when we have auto scaling, which is greater than or, okay, let me see, CPU utilization greater than or equal to that, we got CPU utilization going on. And then when tree shows is greater than or equal to that, you have that. Okay, so scaling and then scaling out. Okay, to add or remove. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's have a look at the CloudWatch. Give it 5 minutes. So let me pause this video and then we'll come back to this. Right, so let's have a look at the CloudWatch. See how things are going. Okay, it's gone over that. But let's look at our EC2 instance. Okay, let's give it a few minutes. Let's look at our CloudWatch alarm. It's been triggered. Let's have a look on here. It's gone over that. Let's give it a minute and let's see. All right. So as you can see, we have two EC2 instances running now. Okay. The alarm has been breached. Where is it? Where's the alarm? So the alarm is in alarm state. Okay. And then auto scaling has been triggered. Can you see we have two instances currently running? So auto scaling is in place. Okay. Right, so let's quickly go to where is auto scaling? Let me see here. So let's look at the auto scaling activity. So the activity you can see here, one instance launch, okay, just to cater for the high CPU utilization. Okay, so if we go back to this, let me show you this quickly. So what we have here, again, we have one alarm and it's kind of, you know, reverting back to itself. So auto scaling when CPU utilization is more than that, and then this will be triggered. And then we also have scale out, which is the same thing. So what we could do is to remove one of them and create a separate alarm for scale out. Okay, I think it's the same kind of alarm working together for scaling and scaling out. Like I said again, we can edit the alarm and just create a separate policy for each alarm. So here we can go to action here, edit that, and then go next. And then you see the scale. So this is scale out. That's fine. So on the scale in, so here we can even remove this one, that one. Go next and then save. Okay. So one alarm per action, if I should put it that way. Okay. So this alarm is for this. Where is that? Where is the policy scale in alarm? So this is the scale out. So we can create another separate alarm for the scale in. Okay. So go here. So go to CloudWatch alarm and then create alarm. Again, follow the same thing. Select your matrix. Go to your EC2 instance, go to auto scaling group, select your auto scaling, which is simply done auto scaling. Select that, go next. Okay, leave the way everything is now, as we discussed. Leave the way everything is. You can put 50 when CPU utilization 50, and what we need to do is to go to the additional configuration, leave the data point the way it is as we discussed, and then you go next. Okay, and then on here we are not creating notification. Go to auto scaling, and then here all you need to do is to select the auto scaling group name and then your action. So this one we are scaling in, okay, separate two alarms basically. One is to monitor the scaling in, and then the other one is to scale out. You go next, and then you give it a name. You can say scale. So scale, this one is scale in alarm. Okay, scale in alarm. Yeah, scale in. And then all you need to do is to go next again, and then create alarm. Okay, so again, this one is the scale out. When the CPU utilization goes up, we will have this. Okay, when the CPU utilization goes down, and then we're gonna trigger the scale in. Okay, so let's give it a minute for it to be okay, and then that should be it. Let's look at the instance again. Okay, as you can see, now we have one, so it has scaled down. We have two instances, one has been taken down. Okay, and again, if you look at the config for this auto scaling group, okay, come here, and then you look at the activities, it will tell you what has happened. So, right, can you see? We launched one for the first one when we created the auto scaling group for the desired state, and then we launch an instance for the alarm. Okay, when the alarm was triggered, can you see the scale out? Okay, that was it. And then again, we terminated one when the scaling. Okay, remember the session manager on here. You see the stress test is still going down for now. So if you go in here, can you see alarm auto scaling scale in, changing the desired state from 2 to 1? Okay, so this is auto scaling in action. Okay, and I hope this one helps somebody out there. What I will do is I will tear down. Before I tear down, I will just explain what we just done. So we leverage on what we call CloudWatch logs, CloudWatch alarm. Okay, what CloudWatch does is monitor your system, okay, collect metrics or data, and then you can analyze it. Once you analyze, you can respond. What we did was to create EC2 instance. Okay, we leverage on what we call the launch template. Okay, with that launch template, we created auto scaling group out of it. We created a policy, created CloudWatch alarm, and then we use what we call stress ng to just push the CPU utilization up so we can monitor this and then see auto scaling in action with live scaling and scale out. Okay, I hope this helped, but before we go, let me just tear my resources down and then we should be good. If I go to auto scaling, once you delete the auto scaling, everything will be gone. Okay, all the instances will be gone. So I'll say delete and then done. Okay, all the EC2 will be gone as well. I can decide to also delete my launch template. It's just a template, it doesn't cost anything, but you can remove it if you want. Okay, delete again, no dramas, cooking on the gas. Okay, once auto scaling group is deleted, we go to your instances. Let's refresh this, and you see we got no instance running. Okay, I hope this helped. See you in my next video. Happy learning. Bye bye.